Hello, 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 and good morning, you guys. I'm so happy that you are here. If you don't know who I am Brittany Noel. I am a lead therapist here in the Daily Fix. I'm also the founder of the Daily Fix. Okay. If you are a guest and you are visiting because we have something special going on this week, I want to personally thank you for joining the tribe this week. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to say that I'm proud of you for showing up for you and investing in yourself. All right. The Daily Fix is a place where we come every morning to work on the different areas of our lives, whether it's our mental, our emotional, clearing out our heart space, working on abundance, working on our identity. We do it all here in the Daily Fix. But this week, we have dedicated the next couple of days to something very special and something very near and dear to my heart. Okay. This week in the Daily Fix is Men's Week. All of the sessions that we are having are specifically for men by men. All right. And for that reason, I will not be the host for this week. Okay. And what excites me about that is that you guys get to hear from some amazing voices, some amazing men who have gone through a lot of different lives and they walk a lot of different journeys. Also, they can come back and teach you what they learned. All right. This week is going to be about transformation from the inside out. I hope that you are entering into these conversations this week with an open heart, with an open mind. Will you be challenged? Absolutely. Will you feel uncomfortable? Absolutely. That's what we do here in the Daily Fix, okay? We do not come to the Daily Fix to stay the same. We come to the Daily Fix to challenge the parts of us that stop us from growing. And so these conversations are aimed and geared towards helping you get what you need to level up in this next season of your life. To do that, I have partnered with an amazing Black man out of California, okay? Dr. Dorsey is going to be the guest moderator this week, taking you guys on a journey as we invite different speakers into the tribe to give you guys what it is that you need. Because I love you so much, all right? I love my tribe. I love what I do. I said that at the beginning of every session, I wanted you to hear a message from me because while I'm not leading the sessions today and I'm tuning in from afar, I wanted you guys to know that you're still in my heart, you're still on my mind. And so I said every morning I'm writing you guys a special message to take with you into the day, into the session to set the tone for what's about to happen today. All right. Now, in the chat, if you're ready, say ready. Say ready. Say ready, 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 ready in the chat. Ready in the chat. Okay. I had to do it. Y'all know it's Monday. I had to do it. Okay. So here's my special message to the Daily Fix members and also our guests, right? And for the women who are tuning in, I want you guys to be intentional about giving the men the floor this week. Okay, we are just visiting this week. We are simply witnessing greatness happen. So I want to make sure that you guys give them space to allow them to vent, to allow them to be seen, to allow them to be heard. And we are here to witness the transformation. Okay. All right. Our theme for today is men and spirituality. And what came to my mind is that in working with men, I worked with men for over 4.5 years. What I learned is that when it came to men and their spirituality, most men didn't necessarily struggle with their faith and believing in God. What I found is that many men struggle with the idea that they are safe enough to take the real version of themselves into the presence of God for a lot of different reasons, okay? But they struggle with the idea of, can I take my numb self? Can I take my angry self? Can I take the version of me that is imperfect, the version of me that makes mistakes, the version of me that has fumbled some things? Can I take all of those things with me into my relationship with God? And no one really discusses how, when we enter into that place of performance in religion, a spiritual disconnection happens. And it's not loud, it's a silent disconnection, right? Most men don't just walk away from that relationship, but what happens is they get tired of showing up in the presence of God, not knowing if it's okay for me to be anything other than a provider, a protector, or a project that needs to be fixed. What does it look like to be in the presence of God, fully holy myself, and still incomplete and still worthy? What I want you guys to know is that God has never said that you had to be hard in order to be holy, that you had to be tough in order to be worthy, right? In your relationship with the God that you serve and your creator, you have to know that your softness is not a liability. Your honesty is not seen as disrespectful. You're allowed to come into that relationship bruised. You're allowed to come into that relationship broken and still know that you belong. And I'm sorry that the world has created an environment. We live in a society that says that you don't belong if you're not hard enough. So maybe the conversation that we have today is not about teaching you how to fix your faith or teaching you how to increase your faith, but maybe this is the time where you hear that inner wisdom that says, you don't have to pretend anymore, that you don't have to put on a mask to be seen as anything other than yourself anymore. I pray that as we go through this week of sessions, that you find a place where you can just be you without the armor, that you can be you without the defenses and without the mask. On the behalf of myself and all of the women here in the Daily Fix who are cheering for you and rooting you on this week, I want you to know that we see you. We see you showing up for you. You are approved here. You are loved here. And the version of you that you are aiming to get to and striving to get to is closer than you may think. With that, I turn it over to the amazing, the incomparable Dr. Dorsey, you guys. Give it up for him in the chat. I'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, listen, I just need to hold space for the one and only Brittany Noel. We are fortunate enough to have someone who continues to shine so bright, and so shouts out to you. I am so privileged to be with the tribe today. What's up, tribe family? I have enjoyed the company, the encouragement, the exchange, the energy. This has been a space that leaves me personally rejuvenated, and the moments that we have gotten to share have created memories for me that I can smile about. And I talk about this tribe in other spaces. I just want to say good morning to you. And I just want to let you know that we're excited about this men's week. Where my fellas at? I need y'all to show up in the chat. I need y'all to say what's up. I need y'all, listen, we need to see you. So if you a man and you here, say what's good. Say hello. Shout out where you watching from. And if you know a brother who is not in this room, you have the link to share with him. And so every single day this week, I'm going to challenge each person in this tribe to find 5 brothers who are not here that you could just shoot this link to and say, amazing conversation happening now, tap in. Did you get that? Amazing conversation happening here, tap in. What's good? What's good? What's good? It's good to see you. Uh, I think I've already been introduced, but I'm happy to be here. And I want us to find the center today. I want us to create space because you're about to get a point of view of a conversation and an exchange that happens between brothers. This is a sacred space. And oftentimes we are accused of not talking. We do talk when it's safe to do so. And I get the fortunate privilege of walking with several great men this week. And so you're going to get insight to that. So create the space in your heart and your mind. Hopefully your eyebrows will be tired because they're raised. Hopefully your mind will be challenged because it is then building new neural pathways. And hopefully your heart will be impacted to go back and interact with the men in your life in a way that is substantive and that allows him to strive and maybe get closer to the version of himself. All right, I see you, brothers. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? I've got the fortunate privilege of sharing the stage today with one of my favorite people. And trust me, I'm going to say that about every brother who comes on the stage, but this is absolutely one of my favorite people. I have become a fan. I have become an admirer. You don't know him. Before I bring him up, let me tell you a little bit about him. He has public speaking ability, well known and invited regularly to get in front of a microphone and empower people. He is educated, right? And so he's got a bachelor's and a master's and an advanced certificate in the field of cognitive behavioral therapy. He is a psychotherapist and believes in the work of connecting with humanity and healing and personal development. You've seen him on TV. The brother has hit Fox Soul, and he has been on the Word Network and many other places. And he is he's just impacted a lot of people. He's even done a TED Talk. We are going to have an exchange about spirituality and mental health and men and masculinity. But when he hits this stage, I need y'all to shout him out real big. Would you do me a favor and help me welcome the one and only Reverend Eric J. Thomas? What's up, man? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up, brother? How you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, man.
I'm glad to be here. You done made me a little nervous. You done hit the people with the Reverend in the front of my name. I thought we was just talking about mental health.
I'm sorry. Look, I just want to tell them the truth. Truth is, this is sacred work, and we revere it. Yes.
Absolutely, it's very much so sacred work, and we want more of the people in our community, male and female, but especially since we're focusing on the men, we want them to really realize that the journey to wholeness is sacred, and it's one that everybody deserves. It's something that nobody should be denied the opportunity to have. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you, and I want to, of course, say thank you to Brittany Noel and the Daily Fix Tribe for also having me here on this platform today.
Yeah, absolutely. This is sacred work, and so people are getting insight to the sacred work. We're not asking for permission, but I want to start off kind of real hot for people who don't get to see this often. This exchange between men who are talking about areas of vulnerability. If you had to start by giving them some advice about how to listen, right? How to understand what it is that they're getting ready to experience and witness, what would you say to them?
I would just say bring your whole self, be vulnerable, be open, and know that you're not alone in your journey. A lot of times what prevents us from really showing up as our full authentic selves in spaces is when we don't feel like is when we feel like we're alone. We are an anomaly that exists, that is different from the majority, and it's easy to fit in with the majority. But I've never known anybody who was really great or who has done great things who has blended in, fitted in, and been a copy of so many other people. So it is my hope and my prayer that all of us, including you and I, the people that we're connected to and the people that are watching today, show up in this space and every space moving forward 100% is who we are, and knowing that we're not alone. And as long as we know that we're not alone, hopefully that gives us a little bit more strength, a little bit more encouragement.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for setting that tone. You and I have had various conversations, and we wear various hats. I'm interested in what comes to mind when we deal with the confession that a lot of men make. And that is, sometimes I don't feel like I can be myself.
Mm.
And the kind of gap that exists between who we are asked to be and who we believe we are. We've talked about this. It's in age, it's in skill set, it's in institution. But I want to start the conversation right there because there may be some guys in here that still don't get many places. And some of us, we don't have any spaces where we can be our full selves. Can you tell me what comes to mind when I say that, please?
When you are asked to be something by other people, that means that you are willing to negotiate the standards of who you are in order to fit other people's comfortability. People are always going to ask you to be something according to their level of comfort and not necessarily according to yours. This is the reason why people will confuse confidence for arrogance. And they'll accuse you of being an arrogant person when the reality is you're just confident in who you are, your knowledge, your accomplishments, and the way that you show up. That's intimidating to other people. So what I mean, we how deep you want to go in this conversation,
Hey,
brother? Because
I
we
want to
starting off
dive into
strong
the deep
already,
part quick.
you know?
I want to dive into the deep part quick because I think there's some confessions that need to be made. Like what do people need to understand? Like I don't even think people sometimes even know that a person isn't showing up as their whole self. No, no, let's not deal with. Can we be gendered in our conversation, please?
Mm,
Men rarely get to say, "Yo, I'm not even giving you the full version of me. You already tripping." So I want to really deal with that. I want a hard line right over to the gender census, mental health week, and we could deal with that
yeah.
exclusively without being judged. So that's where I want to go. Take us there, please.
I think if anybody grew up in church kind of like me, we've heard the common standards of what men should be. Men should be protector, provider, and they should be the priest of their household. And so those are the three things at which a lot of men have defined their wholeness according to. If I'm able to protect, if I'm able to provide, and if I'm able to be a priest or a spiritual leader in my household, then therefore I'm meeting the requirements of what the world or what society, or even what the church or the scripture might say that a man should be. It's not enough for us to just be men based off of our anatomy. Who we are has to always be tied to some level of measurement of success. So there's very little room for error or for failure. And when you have other facets of society that reinforce that, it kind of allows you to become boxed in. So the real question is, as a man, and as I take the journey into wholeness, into authenticity, into healing, into just being well, how do I get out of the box of limitations that people have placed on me? And if those are the standards or the measurements of success, if I don't meet one of those or all of them in a season or at a particular space, does that mean that I have failed as a man? And when men don't want to deal with failure or the possibility of failure, that can then open the door for a destructive pathway or
Come
down a
on,
deep dark hallway.
come on.
So my first challenge to anybody who's listening, or just to any man, and I would hope everybody would challenge any man in their life, is first ask yourself, who am I authentically? Who am I as my most authentic self? Because when you can define who you are as your most authentic self, the measurements or the requirements that people place on you aren't really going to matter. It
Yeah,
does not mean that you're not going to do those things for your family and you're not going to be those things and you're not going to be able to show up. That's not what that means. But it simply says that I choose not to live according to the pressure of society and of the world and according to the standards that I know exist, that align with who I am, what I value, the needs of my family, the needs of my friends, or anybody who I hold dear and near to me. And those people serve now also as a support system. So even if I don't necessarily feel like my best self, even if I don't feel like I'm crossing every T and dotting every I have the room to fall, but a community that's going to get me back up. Because people can't truly support people that are not being authentic. So when you're not being your authentic self, you also rob others of the opportunity to show up for you and support you the way that you need it the most.
listen, man. You hitting on some real stuff, and I don't even. We may not even get any further than this. I want to piece through what you said, man, because some men are still trying to figure out who they are. My heart gets heavy
Mhm.
here. Uh,
Yeah.
it's not about age,
Yeah.
right? We know the age doesn't mean that you figured it out. And I want to
Mhm.
deal with the heaviness of heart of the men who don't have language to articulate who am I. And I want part of me is like I want to talk to him. So now can I just be the man who
Yeah.
who can't answer that question? Can I put myself, y'all hear what I'm saying? Because we don't even I don't even me saying this to Eric, and I'm gonna call him Eric, he'll call me Charles. Me saying this to you, bro, is hard to say. it's hard for me to say, hey man, can I place myself into your care in the with the confession? I don't know how to answer that question. Who am I? I'm lost there, bro, because life has left me in a place where I got a lot of questions, or because I thought I knew who I was, but nobody accepted me
Hmm.
when
Yeah.
I was fully sure. What? Talk to me, man. I need some help, man, because
So
I really,
men only discover who they are when we stop performing and start becoming. So it begins the moment where we don't ask, what am I supposed to be? But more so we ask, who am I, and who am I when no one is watching? Many of us we were raised, or we were reared in like survival mode, right? So that means that our identity was shaped by some sort of protection or pain, but it wasn't necessarily shaped by the permission to just simply be. So discovery for anybody, but especially for any man, is going to require stillness. It's going to require space to hear our own voice without the noise of expectations, because expectations are noise. It's going to require reflection. That means that we're going to have to be willing to confront our own wounds and not just focus on our wins, because we will also cap our wins if we never confront our wounds.
wait,
And
wait, wait. Don't you dare. Say it again, please.
stillness, we got to have space to hear our own voice without the noise of expectation. And then reflection, that means that we have to be willing to confront both our wins and our wounds. And when we don't confront our wounds, we cap our wins, because you can only go to the next level according to based off of what you learned on the previous one. So if you're not taking the things that you've learned or confronted or dealt with on the previous level, that's just going to continue to be a shadow that you hope you never have to confront. And why wait till you get all the way up here to confront it when you could just simply confront it right down here? Why wait? Why sabotage yourself?
Yeah, confession. We just gonna have confession today, y'all. Y'all in the confession booth. Stillness is
Yeah.
so powerful, bro. I'm gonna tell you. But let's just, let's just talk. There were points in my life, and there are points in my life now where I'm afraid to be still. I'm afraid to
Mm,
be still because I'm afraid of what happens when the things that are chasing me catch me.
yeah,
You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if that
absolutely.
analogy is making sense to you. A lot of the reasons why I'm just talking as the man, but I'm also talking as myself. I'm moving fast because something's chasing me that I'm
Mm,
afraid of, that has been harmful to me, that I don't know how to process well, right?
yeah.
Um, what do I do, man? Like, running has benefited me. Staying busy has benefited me.
Mhm,
Stillness is terrifying.
mhm.
What do I do, man? I don't know how. I don't even know. What
Yeah.
is that? Like, how do I even slow down? Uh,
I think one of the ways that we slow down is based off of who we're surrounded by. When you have a powerful community, they will allow space for your stillness. They'll encourage your reflection, because we have to find community that mirrors or reflects back our truth and not just our performance. If
mm,
your community is always about what you did and what you didn't do, what you did and what you didn't do, what you did and what you didn't do, then you're not necessarily going to find the people that are willing to undergird you or support you in the event that you can't support yourself. We're talking about men and spirituality. Let's look at, I did a sermon about the man whose friends had to carry him to Jesus. And because they couldn't get him through the door, they literally took him on top of the roof and tore the roof off and lowered him down. So if you don't have a community that's willing to carry you when you can't carry yourself, then how are you ever going to have those rooftop moments or experiences to where they're willing to take you to the very space or the thing or the person that you need so that you can experience that wholeness and that grace and just that opportunity to be still, to reflect, to even have God remind you that your identity was sacred before it was shaped by struggle of any sort. And a lot of us, especially as Black people, We don't see that our identity is sacred because our identity has always had to be shaped by standards of society. Your locks at one point in time, not considered sacred, not the standard for society. That's why they get the names dreadlocks, but there's nothing dreadful about them. Now I can't grow them. I mean, I could grow them. I ain't going through all that struggle, you know what I'm saying?
Struggle is real.
But you're right, you know what I'm saying? But how we had to learn to be shaped by societal standards rather than just what's good for us and our community, who we are. The fact that beards are popular now, but at one point in time, you needed to be a man with a clean shaven face.
Sir.
We see that even on men who are on TV today with the news, especially. They say you appear less threatening, you appear, more palatable to wider audiences. So when you are a man that's going through the struggle of trying to figure out who you are, you're going to have those moments of stillness. You're going to have those opportunities for reflection. And that's only going to come really when you surround yourself by the people or with a community that's going to reflect your truth and not just your performance and measuring you based off of what you can or cannot do.
Yo, bro, that's so good. That's so good. It's so interesting, man. The things that come to mind are I'm afraid that no one will accept me where I am, so I got to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a confession you guys need to understand. And I don't know, can we agree on some affirmative statements like if you haven't said to a man, I accept you?
Mhm.
I can't think of a time where anybody's ever said that to me, bro. Now I
But
don't.
before, and I don't mean to cut you off, but before we even say I accept you, it first must start with I see you.
Yes, sir.
Men don't feel seen because see, when someone sees you, that means that they're not just seeing the persona or the person that you perceive to be. They're not just seeing who you are on social media. They're really seeing you. This is what I notice about you. This is what makes you feel good. This is what makes you feel afraid. This is what scratches that itch. This is what inspires you. This is what I see you for who you are,
Yeah.
not who you're
Yeah.
trying to be. I see you for who you are in this moment. And you gotta have people in your life that are willing to see you for who you are and embrace all of that. And before they can see you, you have to see yourself. You got to
Bro,
see yourself.
bro. And this, all right, see, I told you I wasn't gonna get past this. So what happens in my head? What happens in my head is, so now people don't understand if I'm used to people not accepting me already before you ever meet me. I'm already weighted down. Before I introduce myself, I'm weighted down with, well, the last time I felt strong, they didn't accept me.
That
Well, the
part.
last time I came and I was in a good mood, they didn't accept me. What does not accept me look like? They didn't, and so it blends in, right? Because I walked in and nobody said hello to me, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
had I overcame major stuff. Nobody said great. I was carrying something heavy and I carried it from the starting line to the finish line and nobody celebrate me. You
Yeah,
understand?
absolutely.
And so it's important that people say, I see you, and that they accept. But how would you manage a man if you knew that he wasn't really accepted in any area? He goes to work, so not accepted, got to change something about himself. Comes home, not accepted. And please, God forbid, I go to church. Now, listen, E, we about to go into a dangerous space here because we can swim here all day. The amount of damage that happens in places that carry the label church to him because he doesn't show up the way you think he should.
Yeah.
So I want to say that, and I want you to talk about that. But can I give you? I really want to ask you. This came up while you were talking. When you were young, I got a question. Did you ever? Does the term piggyback ride make sense to you? Have you ever gotten or been the one being carried on a piggyback ride?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my experience, bro, I've never done that. because I always felt, bro, now you got to talk to me. I always felt like I was too heavy.
Mm,
So I don't even know how to be carried.
yeah.
You see? So when you
Always.
said that analogy, bro, about them carrying him, you got to understand, never. I'm 40 some, I'm 41. I'm 41 years old, bro, and I cannot recall when somebody carried me. I've always been
Mm,
asked to do the carrying, bro.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk
You
to me,
know,
man.
man, I think a lot of us have experienced that. And at one point in time, you have to ask yourself, what was it or when was the moment that I stopped allowing people to carry me? You know, and some of us have never actually been carried. We've only been
Come
the
on.
carrier. So why was I strong enough to be the carrier, but I wasn't vulnerable to allow myself to be carried? Or why didn't anybody look at me and say, yeah, he needs some carrying right now? That's the unfortunate part, you know, and this is why authenticity is so important, because authenticity, or finding yourself in authenticity, begins with authentic language. Authentic language begins by naming your emotions without shame, saying things such as, I'm grieving, I'm anxious, I feel abandoned, I'm hurt, using stories instead of statistics. This is what happened to me. We like to tell stories, especially those of us who have a familiarity with church, of what we overcame. We don't like to just sit in a story. This is where I am, or this is what happened to me. And I'm still not over it, or I'm still not healed, or I'm still, because, you know, church gives you this energy to say all of your stories have to be of triumph. But when we look at the Bible, Jesus wept, and he didn't tell his own story of triumph. People told his story for him. Jeremiah wrote a whole book crying out. It's called Lamentations.
Sir.
After that man wanted to quit and wanted to give up, you know what I'm saying, doing the thing that he was called and you know, called and designed to do. So you got to use your stories. This is what happened to me. And I'm going to say this, and a lot of men might take it a certain type of way. You got to reclaim a little bit of softness.
Yes, sir.
You got to be able to speak gently to yourselves the same way that you would a wounded child. Because again, before it comes from outside, it's got to come from within.
Yeah.
And then you don't be afraid to borrow words until you find your own.
Yeah.
Therapy tools, Black poetry. For those of us that are Christian, read things like the Book of Psalms.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful poetry, beautiful imagery written from a man or a collection of writers and things of that nature who have taken the time to speak truthfully, to speak wholly, in a sense. You know, that's the reason why David wasn't afraid to say, you know, I was born in sin, or in shaping in iniquity, or, you know, from my mother's womb, da, da, da. You know, he gives all this language to articulate what was pressing on his soul in that moment. So again, you say, Eric, I can't form the words. You say, Dr. Dorsey, I can't form the words. Borrow some.
Sir.
And nobody's looking for them to be perfect. You don't have to, as one of my mentors say, move through the serendipities of the English language with oratorical finesse. You ain't got to do all that. You got to speak softly to yourself.
Come on.
And when you learn how to speak that type of way to yourself, you're going to begin to equip yourself, and you're going to begin to build yourself up in a way that nobody's going to be able to take anything from you.
So
People take
good.
something from us when we haven't built things up in ourselves. But the same way that we go to the gym and we set the weight at a certain point to give us the right amount of resistance that we need, because only resistance builds muscle. We can't build muscle just through lifting small amounts of weight that don't give us any type of challenge. We got to have some resistance. Look at the challenges in your life as the resistance that you've needed to build the muscles that you have developed. And now look at you getting this authentic language, speaking softly to yourself, finding that community, naming your emotions without shame. Look at that as your next challenge to build the mental muscles that you need, the spiritual muscles that you need, the authentic muscles that you need to really show up in your communities and your families and your loving relationships and everywhere else as your most authentic self.
Yo, bro, like softly and accurately. Like the things that the things that I've said to myself that are just not true. Like they're just not true, right?
Yeah,
And how easy it is to receive what's not true, bro. Like,
absolutely.
so I want to, there's so much to pull out of this. I want to, come on, let's tag team this a little bit to add some language because what I said to you, very true story. I've never been carried before. I don't know how. I want to, I want to give that as some language. I don't know, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like things that a man should feel comfortable saying. Like if your community doesn't allow you to say, "I don't know," that's not a safe space. You understand?
Absolutely.
Like if your community does not allow you to say, "I don't have it," that's not a safe space. Can you see? Like I hope y'all can hear how quickly home becomes toxic. I don't even need to. I
Yeah.
shouldn't say this too loud. Shouldn't say this too loud. Like why do I work so much? Because when I come home and I say I don't have it, and you respond to me like I gotta have it, or the reason why I stopped showing up to the places that you felt were good for me was because when I showed up and I said I don't know, they judged me for it because I was supposed to know
Yeah.
whatever the hell that means. Excuse me for the hell, but you know, yeah.
You know, you and I had a conversation before, and we were on the same page, and we said, and you know, I shared with you that I was taught that one of the greatest gifts that any man could have, any person, but we're talking about men, one of the greatest gifts any man could have is the ability to learn,
Mm.
to unlearn, and to relearn. To learn,
I've been,
unlearn, and relearn.
yes, sir.
So we cannot be afraid to ask ourselves, what lies were we taught or were ingrained in us as a man? That's the lie that you always got to be strong. You can never cry. You can never doubt. You never need help. That real men don't ask for directions either on the road or in life, right? And that lie wasn't anything but emotional suppression. And then you've been taught that emotional suppression equals spiritual maturity. But if
Nope,
we're talking
nope,
about
nope, 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 no, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. I know we got a time limit. That's so good, bro. He said that Negro said, we've been taught that Negro said, we've been taught that emotional suppression is spiritual maturity. I will body slam you straight up. That's so good, bro. All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I just put that out there because again, where the conversation today focuses on men and spirituality. I know for the rest of the week we're gonna have some amazing conversations and hear from some great people. But while I'm here, you know, I just want to put that out there. You know, again, anybody who has any sort of religious relationship or familiarity with the church understands how we also expect people to show up who have that religious foundation. But if we're speaking to that, we saw Jesus cry. We read that Jesus groaned. We read that Jesus asked for help. And if that is our example, is that as if he is our high priest, as you know, we've been given the language to say that that's who he is, then
Sure.
that's the true example that we should follow, not just in his bravery and in the things that he was able to do in him healing the sick and opening blinded eyes and feeding people, literally also in his vulnerability.
Yeah.
It was the fact that he was given an assignment. He said, hey, look, if we could renegotiate this, how about we pass this on to something else? I'll do something else. Let this cup pass from me. But that wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? So all of us we learned, and maybe right now we're in that season of unlearning. And then now we have to relearn. And so you got to unlearn through pain. You got to unlearn through your burnout and through your heartbreak, through therapy, through prayer. You have to unlearn through those things and realize that God has never required you to perform manhood. God's never required you to perform manhood. God has said that your true example in manhood was for you to be honest, for you to be present, and for you to be whole. For you to be honest, for you to be present, and for you to be whole. And so what's the scripture? I think it's in Micah that says, what does the Lord require of us but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly, to love mercy? So that's not to dominate and that's not to suppress, but that's literally just to walk.
Okay.
And while we're on this walk, we're walking humbly, we're walking wholly, we're walking authentically, we're walking fully. And when we relearn those things, I would challenge you to say that life becomes a little bit easier. You negotiate a little less with the type, you're not so desperate for friends or for people to love you where you just accept anything. It's no longer good enough just for somebody to be your friend because y'all like to play basketball. That's not the standard no more. We got to be able to have some hard and rough conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't bond over the superficial.
Yes, sir.
We got to really be able to talk and connect with one another.
Yes,
and
sir.
So it is my hope and it is my prayer that on the spiritual side, we realize that following Jesus and the true example of following Jesus is not just in always feeling the need to be brave and to do for others, but it's also in how we can be brave and show up for ourselves. How we can speak to ourselves and be real about the emotions that we feel or the challenges that we face, and find a community that really is going to help support and meet those needs. Why? Because you have been putting everybody else's needs and feelings and everything above your own. But at some point in time, you got to put yourself first.
Sir.
And you got to put yourself back in the driver's seat. And you got to ask, what point in time in my life did I stop showing up for me? And at what point did I give my personal power away? And what am I going to do to get it back?
So good. That's so good, man. Hey guys, if this is helpful, man, can you just put helpful in the chat? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we be talking about, just in passing, just trying to be better. I have to ask one more question, and then we're kind of up against it here. Talked about stillness and how important it is. We didn't say it explicitly, but explicitly how important it is to slow down and be still, settle internally. And you also mentioned the word reflection, and the way that I wanted to soft pitch you into just some reflection on reflection is sometimes men look in the mirror, and I certainly can confess that I've had moments where I don't like my reflection. And I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally. I'm talking about because I have done things and the way it has impacted people has caused me to not like my reflection, right? Being, the things that people say to you when you make mistakes. And I'm just using popular ones. You a dog, you a liar, you a cheater, you effed up, you ain't nobody, you ain't never gonna be nothing. All of these things, and I don't forget it, bro. Like y'all gotta know when you say stuff to a man, he may have forgotten to send the text message, may have forgotten the call, but the things that you say that cut deep, oh no, I'm never gonna forget. And I'm not gonna forget who said it. And so now, but I carry that into the mirror where now I'm looking at a reflection and I don't like it. What do you say to me?
From a spiritual lens, I remind you that in your weakness, God's strength is made perfect.
Sir.
David danced, Joseph cried, and even Paul complained about life, right? But the second thing that I say is that you have to realize that those things that you go through, they're not signs of weakness. They're not signs of weakness at all. There is a time, of course, again, spiritual component, time to weep and a time to laugh and a time to mourn and a time, because you're a preacher. You're not trying to use the preacher language on me today because you're the interviewer. You know what I'm saying? And you try not to give me preacher talk. But again, don't be afraid to lament, to cry out, to just say what it is. You know,
Mhm.
you say, I look at my reflection and I don't really like it. What are you going to do to change it?
So good.
What are you going to do to change it? Why? Because again, you're in the driver's seat of your life. You're in the driver's seat of your healing. You're in the driver's seat of your health. If you go to the doctor and the doctor says, "Hey, you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic or whatever, and this is what you got to do," you may not like to hear that, but at the end of the day, you're gonna take the doctor's instructions if you care about your health.
Mhm.
Likewise, if you care about your mental health or your spiritual health, you got to take a hold of those instructions, and you can't focus on shoulda, woulda, coulda, and what the past says, because what we have is the present.
Yeah.
And you got to stop allowing your past to be the defining factor of the rest of your life. Your past was but a moment. It was but a moment. And if you allow your past to consistently define you and determine how you move day to day to day to day, then you're going to allow yourself to become stuck in a pattern and in a cycle saying, how did I get here? When you are the one that has the power, the tools, and the ability to be able to break it today.
Yeah.
You're the one. You're in the driver's seat. So ask yourself, when did I become defined by my wounds? And when did I give my personal power away? And say, I'm determining today to reclaim that and get that back.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is so good, bro. I want you to give me some tips about how to get it back. Um, I love the fact, and brothers, we got to be able to say to each other, number one, you can change. You're not without the ability to change. And I'm not suggesting that who you are is not good. He's saying what uh, E is saying, and what I'm hearing is I'm not so far gone. I'm not so deep down that I cannot take hold of the opportunity to move in the direction that is helpful for me. I can do that. And so, brothers, I want to remind you that you can still do that. Doesn't matter how old, it doesn't matter the situation. You can take it a day at a time. And if you get in community with people like Eric and people like myself will remind you, and we will gently but but accurately ask you, well, what you gonna do today? What are we doing today? All right, today we're gonna smile. Great. Um, that I want you to give us some sort of final advice and then closing thoughts really on what I can do. Cause I hear you, bro. That feels good, sounds good too. But I'm trying to figure out, I'm facing divorce. I'm facing job loss. I'm facing low earning. I'm facing hurt and pain. I'm facing unforgiveness. I know we can't get to all of that, bro. And to me, this is all under the umbrella of men and spirituality. You understand?
Mhm.
I still think these are the things that hit us so deeply that we don't get to say. Let me also park here and say, and it is true that some of us are hard shell on the outside. You look good, you keep it together. You in the gym. When somebody look at you, you got the stature. They like, ooh. And on the inside, I could be like broken. I mean messed up. So what do you how do I start that process?
I want to, as a social worker, one of the things that we're taught is to look at everything or to teach people, a strengths based perspective. And I think what I want to do, or in closing thought, I would like to say to all of my brothers and to my men who support brothers, all of my women who support brothers, I'm sorry. So to all of my brothers and to my women who support brothers who are listening today, I want to remind you that strength is not defined by how hard you hit, but
Mm,
strength is defined by how gently you hold what matters. Strength is never silence. It's the courage to speak your truth and still listen. Strength is not performing manhood, it's becoming whole. So we have to teach each other. We have got to teach our young men that your feelings are not flaws, that your tears don't disqualify you from leadership, and that softness is sacred as well.
mm,
And you have to remind yourself at the end of all of it, God made you this very complex being. and called it good. God made you this extremely complex being, so down to the point where God numbered every single hair on your head. And if that hair fall, and if one of those follicles falls out right now, God's gonna say that's hair number 4,568. You know what I'm saying?
That's so good.
God made you so complex, and God made you complex and called it good. So why should you call yourself or refer to yourself as anything else but good, but whole?
So good.
And that's all I got, man.
Hey, man, you're amazing. I'm going to ask you to tell the people where they can stay connected to you, how they can stay in touch with you. I know that we've shouted out, but tell the people how they can stay connected to you. And then, just if there's any gratitude or anything you want to share at this moment, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, man. Again, I want to say that I'm grateful to Brittany Noel and the Daily Fix for having me. I'm grateful to you, brother, for the invitation and for the opportunity to interview and converse with you again. I'm a very easy guy to keep in touch with, so I would hope that you all would share with me and connect with me on all platforms at Eric J. Thomas. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can go to my website, ericjthomas.org. You can send me an email, hello@ericjthomas.org. And I did drop a link in the chat for you to sign up just for a little email list if you want. But other than that, just shoot me a message, shoot me an email, and I'm always available, building something great. And again, I'm just grateful for, because you asked me to share a moment of gratitude. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for what's going on in life right now and how I'm showing up in these moments, because nobody's life is without, challenge or without some sort of struggle. And I'm grateful for the ability to be vulnerable, for the ability to have a community, and for the ability to be able to share with you all today, as we talk about mental health and spirituality, and really just be a voice. And I hope that I encourage somebody today. And I'm grateful for the platform.
Yeah, man. Let me go ahead and double down on that, man. Appreciate you being here. You have a number of things that demand your time, and so salute to you. I salute to you for what your presence here represents. For everybody who knows that you're here and knows all of the depth of your personality, your showing up, your skill set, your pain, and your celebration, and what your presence here represents to them. I want to say to you that you're needed, bro. Like you are absolutely needed and you are absolutely valued, and that the nation will continue to salute that, but that the elevation will continue to occur. People are going to see you on major stages and know that they got a glimpse of one of the best parts of you today. Uh, I'm hoping that you find open doors, more open doors, so many open doors. You don't know what to do with yourself because you deserve that. And then, since we're talking about men and spirituality, I want to affirm that we both deserve to experience spiritual growth in safe environments, that our spirits deserve to be nurtured since we are nurturers and givers and always seeing about the spiritual health of other people. We deserve the same. And so that's my wish and my hope and my prayer for you and for me, that the places that we come to affirm in us and pour into us and stitch us up where we've been cut, but also build us up for the journey ahead, man. So salute to you, man. To those of you who have been watching, number one, this replay is going to be available the entire week. And so we want to be sure that you share this with as many people as you can. I asked you at the beginning to share this with 5 people. If you did, thank you. If you have not, please, 5 people, 5 men, 5 families, you never know who's going to see this and discover something about themselves that they've been waiting to hear their entire lives. I also want you to know that Eric will be back at the end of this week and just going to be here to ask questions. So if you want to ask direct questions, we're going to be in here with the entire tribe and we're going to answer those questions on Friday. But we hope that you've enjoyed this. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to share the space. Hey, listen, Brittany, these are big shoes to fill. I don't know how to feel about that. But thank you guys for sharing the time with us. And hopefully you have an amazing day. Be inspired and have a great day. Thank you.
Peace.